Skull Nation, stop right now. US Bank Stadium just erupted with breaking news. 3 bombs dropped in 72 hours. A defensive coordinator with mutiny in his veins, 22 players hitting the open market, including a future Hall of Famer, and Kirk Cousins just opened the door to a stunning return. Here's your first payoff. Brian Flores might abandon Minnesota, even without a head coaching offer. And insiders say there's drama behind closed doors that could fracture this defense. If you bleed purple louder than you hate the Packers, hit like and let's make Green Bay nervous. We start with the Flores situation that has Minnesota on the edge of chaos. Stay locked, because the double cliffhanger at the end will shake the NFC North. Whispers in the hallways, closed-door tensions. A defensive mastermind who built the NFL's best defense suddenly considering a lateral move to escape Minnesota. The coach? Brian Flores. And this isn't about head coaching ambitions anymore. This is about something deeper, something the organization doesn't want you to know. John Krasinski, longtime Minnesota sports reporter, dropped a bomb on KFN radio Monday that sent shockwaves through Viking Nation. Flores could leave for another defensive coordinator job, not a promotion, a lateral move, because of alleged behind-the-scenes conflict with people inside the building. Let that sink in. A coordinator who transformed Minnesota into a defensive nightmare, who made opposing quarterbacks see ghosts, is ready to walk away, even if the Raiders don't call. What's happening behind those purple doors? Krasinski couldn't nail down the exact nature of the drama, but he confirmed. Conversations have been circulating for over 10 days, and it's not all hunky-dory between Flores and the organization. Is it contract negotiations? Is it philosophical differences with Kevin O'Connell? Is it clashing egos in the front office? Nobody knows for sure, but when a reporter who lives in Minnesota locker rooms says there's smoke, there's fire. Here's what we do know. Flores has real momentum toward the Raiders' head coaching job, with Tom Brady potentially hiring him and pairing him with Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator. That's a power duo. But even if that falls through, even if no head coaching offer comes, Flores might still leave. Think about that. The man who held opposing offenses to single digits multiple times this season, who blitzed like a madman and confused the best quarterbacks in football, could choose to coach elsewhere as a coordinator because Minnesota's internal politics are toxic. Do you think the Vikings can afford to lose Brian Flores right now? Drop your honest take below. And if you believe losing Flores would be a disaster for this defense, smash that like and let the front office feel the pressure from Viking Nation. But as catastrophic as that sounds, the next story reveals who the Vikings could lose in free agency, and one name will break your heart. Stay locked. 22 players, one off-season. A future Hall of Famer hinting at retirement, an emerging superstar who priced himself out of Minnesota, and a roster about to look completely different. The Vikings are staring at a free agency bloodbath, and Viking Nation needs to prepare for goodbye. Start with Harrison Smith. 14 seasons, multiple Pro Bowls, the heartbeat of this defense. He got a standing ovation against the Packers in Week 18, the kind you give a legend on his way out the door. Smith won NFC Defensive Player of the Week after dominating the Lions on Christmas Day, proving at age 36 he's still elite. But all signs point to retirement. When a safety that good walks away, you don't replace him, you survive him. Then there's C.J. Ham, the fullback who became a captain, who got a standing ovation and a touchdown in his likely final game. Kevin O'Connell made sure Ham scored against Green Bay, because that's how you honor a warrior. Ham and Smith built the culture in Minnesota, and if both retire, the locker room loses its spine. But here's where it gets painful. Jalen Nailor, 29 receptions, 444 yards, 4 touchdowns. The stats don't scream superstar, but the film does. Nailor emerged as a weapon this season, a deep threat who can burn defenses and create explosive plays for J.J. McCarthy. If Minnesota lets him walk, they're handing a rising star to a rival. And that's the kind of mistake that haunts you for years. And then there's Jalen Redmond, the best story on this list. Signed as the 90th man on the roster in June 2024, made the team and exploded for 6 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. Redmond is an exclusive rights free agent, meaning Minnesota can lock him up for around $1.1 million. If they don't do that, if they let ego or penny pinching get in the way, Viking Nation should riot. Eric Wilson, the depth linebacker who became a starter and maximized Brian Flores' scheme. Jeff Okudah, the nickel corner who suffered 3 concussions. Ty Chandler, the running back who never took the next step. Ivan Pace Jr., the second-year backer who got benched when Blake Cashman returned. Each one of these names represents a decision Minnesota has to make, and every decision shapes whether this team competes or collapses. Do you think the Vikings should prioritize re-signing Jalen Nailor or Jalen Redmond? Comment your pick below. And if you believe Harrison Smith deserves a statue outside US Bank Stadium, hit like and let the legend feel the love from Skull Nation. But while Minnesota bleeds talent, a former franchise quarterback just made it clear he's available, and the reunion nobody saw coming might be the answer to everything. Buckle up. $331 million earned, 14 NFL seasons, a career spent chasing respect, and now Kirk Cousins just opened the door to the most shocking comeback in Vikings history. After a roller coaster year in Atlanta, Cousins restructured his contract with the Falcons, making it easier for them to release him before March 13th. Translation: Kirk is about to hit the open market, and Minnesota is desperate for a veteran quarterback. Cousins told reporters after the Falcons season finale, quote, "We'll see what the market is like in March. I love the game and would love to keep playing." That's not retirement talk. That's a man ready for one more run. And The Athletic's Alec Lewis reported that the Vikings plan to be aggressive in exploring established quarterbacks via trade or free agency. Little is off the table in terms of how aggressive they'll be. Connect the dots. Kirk knows the system. Kirk knows the locker room. Kirk spent 6 years in Minnesota and threw for over 4,000 yards multiple times. If the Falcons cut him and Kirk is willing to take a hometown discount, this reunion makes perfect sense. But here's the reality check. Kirk is 38 years old. He's made over $331 million in his career, third all time, behind only Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. Does he want one more big check? Or does he want to come home and mentor J.J. McCarthy while competing for a starting job? The Vikings need a bridge quarterback, someone who can win games if McCarthy isn't ready, someone who won't panic under pressure. Kirk fits that description perfectly. He went 5-2 in his final 7 starts with Atlanta, throwing 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's not washed, that's capable. Imagine this. Kirk Cousins returns to Minnesota on a 2-year deal, competes with McCarthy in training camp, and either starts the season or serves as the ultimate insurance policy. Meanwhile, the Falcons eat the dead cap. Minnesota gets a proven winner at a discount, and the NFC North has no idea how to game plan for a Vikings team that could start Kirk or McCarthy depending on matchups. Is that genius or desperate? You tell me. Do you want Kirk Cousins back in purple, yes or no? Comment below and let the debate begin. And if you think this reunion would make the Packers and Lions sweat, smash that like and let Kirk know Viking Nation still believes. But here's where this entire offseason comes together, and the next 72 hours will determine if Minnesota is a contender or a pretender. Final thoughts incoming. 3 seismic shifts, 1 defining offseason. Brian Flores on the edge of mutiny. 22 free agents walking out the door, including legends and rising stars, and Kirk Cousins potentially returning to save a quarterback room in crisis. Minnesota is at a crossroads, and the decisions made in the next month will either launch this franchise into championship contention or bury it in mediocrity for years. Let's connect the dots. If the Vikings lose Brian Flores, the defense that ranked top 5 in multiple categories crumbles. If they let Jalen Nailor and Jalen Redmond walk, they're handing weapons to division rivals. If they don't bring in a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, they're gambling J.J. McCarthy's development on a season where one injury, one bad start, one confidence crisis could derail everything. But if Minnesota executes, if they retain Flores with a lucrative extension, if they lock up Redmond and Nailor, if they bring Kirk home on a team-friendly deal, this roster becomes the most dangerous sleeper in the NFC. The talent is there. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. A defense that can suffocate. A coaching staff that believes. The North is wide open, and Minnesota has the pieces to conquer it. Here's what Skull Nation needs to do right now. 1. Smash that like if you believe the Vikings are one move away from dominating the NFC North. 2. Drop a comment answering this. Should Minnesota prioritize keeping Brian Flores or bringing back Kirk Cousins? You can only pick one. 3. Subscribe, because every single subscriber makes Packers fans furious, and we're about to take over the entire division. But listen closely. Here's the cliff's edge.
Brian Flores' decision could come in the next 48 hours. If he leaves, Minnesota has to replace the architect of their defense, and Kirk Cousins' market will be set by March 13th, meaning the Vikings have weeks to make their move before someone else swoops in. On top of that, the Packers just cleared cap space and are targeting the same free agents Minnesota wants. The Lions are stockpiling talent. The Bears are building around Caleb Williams. The NFC North is a war zone, and Minnesota is either the hunter or the hunted. Which one will it be? Skull to the wall, Viking Nation. Hit subscribe, stay locked, and let Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago know the storm is coming. We ride together. See you in the next battle.